Okay, so I've got pretty much all of my pieces attached. It's starting to kind of come together. Okay, so you can kind of see, looks pretty good. I got some little cleanup and stuff to do. Obviously, the edges and all that kind of stuff, I want to clean up that kind of stuff. Now, the one thing that I did notice is that the heart here, okay, the heart that you see there, it kind of sticks out and is coming away from the surface. So what I've done, and you might have seen that in the last little time lapse, the last little end of it. Okay, so here's my little heart, okay, that I've cut out. And then you'll notice that on the bottom of it, it's higher on one side. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna allow it to stick out when I attach it, okay? So there you can see a little bit better, but it'll actually stick out from the surface, and that way it'll look like it's kind of floating out in the middle of the air, much more closer related to the way this is done. So I'm gonna go ahead and score slip and smooth that on, okay? Some of these things are gonna be really tricky. Some of these things are going to be difficult to attach just because they are on rounded surfaces. You are kind of taking a two-dimensional design, okay, being the emoji face, because that's a very flat design. It's got a lot of detail as far as how the how rounded it is, but we're making it three-dimensional, and so that's a kind of a challenging thing to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and score, slip, and smooth that on there. And then I've pretty much got all of my pieces attached. At this point, it's just a matter of refinement, okay, and making sure that everything sticks on exactly where we want it to. Okay, so I'm gonna actually move that over a little bit because I realized that it's not quite where I want it. This actually comes up about right there. Okay, and obviously, like with most things, as soon as you get the color on there, okay, these will actually be using the acrylic paint to paint them, just because you can get a lot more detail with those than you can with our glazes. So that way you can also get the yellow color that you need, and the oranges and the reds and that kind of stuff that are a lot more difficult for the glazes to produce in precision stuff like that. Okay, so what I'm doing is just going around and smoothing that heart in. Make sure that's nice and clean. Make sure those edges are nice and clean because, like I said, everybody knows what an emoji is supposed to look like. So therefore, if you're making something that you're declaring is an emoji, okay, then you need to make sure that it's as precise and clean and smooth, and there's no little tool marks or anything like that in there. So I've got a lot of cleanup to do, but as you can see, that's my little emoji face. Okay, and like I said, that'll come out much better once it's, there we go, get the light just right on it. Okay, so you can kind of get an idea of that. So I've got a lot of little tool marks to clean up and that sort of thing. I'm not going to bore you guys with those sort of details, but make sure that these things are all rounded and smooth. In the final video, what I'll do is I'll show you my finished product of exactly what it is I'm expecting these to look like and how you're supposed to clean these up. If you just take and cut out shapes out of your extra slab that you have left over, for instance, if my circle for my eye, okay, was just this rough piece and then you just stuck it on there and score and slip and smooth it, I'm gonna take points off for the craftsmanship part of it. This is one of those projects where it's very, very important that the craftsmanship of these emojis is exactly as perfect as you can possibly make it. Clean up those details, clean up all those little tool marks, because they will show up in every single one of them. All right, so please make sure you do that. Also, don't forget, okay, with all of these are all gonna be made to be hung on a wall. So what I'm gonna do is, while this clay is still soft, I'm just gonna go ahead, take my paintbrush, drill a hole there, and then drill a hole right about opposite of that. Okay, really simple. You can just put a hole about that big on that side and then on that side, and then we can take a little piece of fishing line, tie it between the back side of it, and then you can hang it on a wall. Okay, so a lot of cleanup stuff to do, a lot of little detail work to do, and then the final thing will be to paint it once it's been fired. Okay, but again, details, 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 the fine tuning, the fine refinement, that's what's going to make this project better than the next person. Okay, all right.